Welcome to Birth at Work, the podcast where we dive into the real, unfiltered stories of what it's actually like to navigate pregnancy, birth, and early parenthood while building a career. I'm your host, Krislyn Powell. Each episode, we sit down with working parents who share their honest experiences, the victories, the setbacks, the moments of doubt, and the strategies that actually work. Because let's be honest, most workplace policies weren't designed with pregnancy and new parenthood in mind. And it's time we talked about what that really means for the millions of us trying to grow families while growing our careers. Today we have Bri on the podcast with us, and I'm so thrilled. She's got a really awesome and unique story, and these episodes are just a great chance for us to hear from moms about what it's really like to have a career, have kids, and do both. And this is kind of just an open conversation. So, Bri, so happy to have you. Can you take just a couple minutes and share a little bit about you and why you're joining us today?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I have a degree in marriage and family therapy from BYU. And when I graduated, I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. And then I started applying for jobs and ended up in tech. So I ended up at a tech boot camp here in Utah. And I found with like my whole background of like education, it was a smorgasbord of I have a minor in advertising and music, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this? Apparently, become an operations generalist. So I currently work as a head of business and people operations at a tech startup. I've really loved working at tech startups. The building phase is like my favorite part of a company when you're building a team, and there's just kind of that chemistry and magic in the air of like finding product market fit and like building the support team and just everybody knows each other. So I've really stuck in that phase of company over the past 10 years. And yeah, that's where I'm at. And then in terms of family, I'm married. I think we're going on 14 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't do math that fast. But and I have two little ones. I have a 5-year-old daughter, Isabel, we call her Izzy, and an almost 3-year-old boy, Teddy. So we are nice and busy.
I love that. And gosh, just so you've just, introducing yourself have accomplished like so much, have this blossoming family, an incredible career. And I'm so curious if you could start us off with, when you were a little bit younger, let's say go back to college, like as you were finishing up your degree. I think you were newlyweds too around the time that you were going to school. Like what did you envision these years to be like? What did you think motherhood was going to be like? Did you anticipate the career that you have now? And like what has changed?
Yeah, it's a funny question because I honestly never anticipated having a career. Like I knew I'd always like do some kind of side job or like I've always loved like running and starting businesses even from when I was really young. Yeah, Ryan and I were early married when we were at BYU, and I just so happened to like he was working while I was finishing my degree, and then we switched. So then I started working full time while he finished his degree at BYU, and yeah, I was working at the second company I was at, and we decided to start trying for a little one. And once we kind of got towards the end of my maternity leave, we sat there and we're like, okay, do we get a nanny? Do we like work hybrid? Like, how do we make this work? Because he had started his career. So, I mean, for somebody who works in operations and likes to have a plan, I was horrible at having a plan for that piece. I just knew that I'm like, hey, I want to have a baby at a company that's going to support me and have like a boss and a team that's going to support like my family growth. And so I did get that. But yeah, me and Ryan had always agreed that like one of us be like a primary caregiver at home. And we just never really planned like who that was going to be. But because I started my career a little bit earlier, I had a jump start in just earning potential. And so once we hit that point, I was on maternity leave. Ryan only got 2 weeks. I got 3 months, which I was super grateful for. But once I was nearing the end of mine, we sat down, looked at finances. It's like, okay, like we can totally do this if like you want to continue your career and move forward. And Ryan said, honestly, like I really missed you guys. Like when I was going back to work and you're at home on maternity leave, like if it makes sense for our family, like I want to do this for our family and I'll pick up my career once they're a little bit older. And so he's been extremely supportive in my career. He has a background in sales and a degree from business school. And so funny enough, he's helped me like with my negotiation practices, like when it comes to like my salary. It's a lot scarier to negotiate with him than it has been with any of my bosses. But yeah, so that's kind of, we we always knew like both my parents worked. My dad has his own business. My mom ran his business, like the office side of it, but they're always super flexible and they always prioritized me and my brothers. And so they were at all of the sporting events. They were at like, they're there to support us. And I didn't really feel like I missed out at all on having two working parents. And that was a format me and Ryan really wanted to copy of like finding work or building a company or like pretty much having that life set up where it's like, hey, like work is really fulfilling and but we also value and want to like grow a family and focus on that. So I guess that's early on the format we tried to copy with my parents.
Yeah, I love that. And then also something that stood out to me too was like, you know, that open communication that you two had where there was like a point where you're nearing the end of your maternity leave and you're kind of like this, we're at a crossroads here, what do we
Yeah.
do? And being able to be open and Ryan was comfortable enough to say like, "Hey, I missed you. I would like to spend more time at home if this works for us. Like if it's supportive, this is an option." And then you're kind of able to be like, "Okay, yeah, I think that's super refreshing and a really healthy way of looking at things because sometimes with life decisions, it can be tricky and some people think of it in absolutes, right? So like if you say something that's
Yeah.
wait, we definitely have to do this or this is scary, but you can think about it in, hey, what if we did this? What if we went down this path? This is how
Yeah.
I feel about things. It
Well,
sounds like you really had some open conversations.
Well, and that was something too of, I mean, also the being in Utah, you have a lot of stay-at-home moms. And so a lot of my friends are stay-at-home moms and knowing that and like listening to their experience as being the main stay-at-home parent, that's something that I really try to like keep in mind with Ryan, where it's like, hey, he is talking with the kids mostly all day, or it's like he is on that grind of like making food, keeping up the house, that kind of thing, getting them to appointments. And so that's something I'm always bringing to him of being like, hey, like as soon as like you want to branch out and start a business or like he is starting a construction business on the side right now and I'm like hey like luckily like his clients so far they're also like stay-at-home moms and so they're super flexible and they're like hey like we'll watch your little boy while you finish up like installing like the beadboard in our salon or something but so that's been really nice but that's something that like even from the flip side I've been like hey as soon as you want to do this like I will support you in that because you've been nothing but like extremely supportive in me growing my career so we can grow our family and just have a stable home base for everybody.
So refreshing. And it sounds like you thought a lot about what the environment would be like for the kids too, and what would be healthy for everyone. So I love that. As you were navigating the early phases of that, and I know you have a second child as well, were there unexpected challenges that came up for you as you got pregnant again, as you were making future decisions and the years went by? What did that look like?
Yeah, we like my with both pregnancies, the last month of pregnancy is atrocious for me. And I know it is for everybody, but I was having contractions like that entire last month. And so of course like being a first time mom, I was at the hospital every week and they're like, you're having contractions. They're not doing anything though. And I'm like, no, this baby's coming like tomorrow. They're like, no, she's not. Go home. So in picking the companies I worked at, like I've worked at, I'm at like 7 or 8 startups over the past decade or so. I really like would look at the leadership and just like the makeup of the team. And especially since I work in a very like male dominated field, I would always look to see like if they're family oriented. Is the team family oriented? Is the leadership? Do they have lives outside of work? Because that would be a telltale sign of like how supported I was going to be as a parent in the workplace. So I feel like I've really lucked out and it's part luck, part just like doing my research of getting to know the people at a company I'm going to join and knowing that like, hey, they have 4 or 5 kids themselves. They're involved parents. Like I had a boss that like he would go to PTA meetings and for his kids. And so like that was a very common topic like in team meetings. And so that was a strategic move of like, okay, when I knew we were going to have kid number 2, I wanted it to be with a team, with a leader at a company that was going to support that. So I did not have the thought of like, oh, I'm going to go into a company and change them into a family oriented space. It's like, I really sought that out to make sure that I was supported because unfortunately, I think a lot of the parenting will sometimes fall on the mom. And I really do appreciate like when I'm working with fathers that are like very involved because not only does it show hey, they have a life outside of work, so it's okay for me to have a life outside of work. But it's funny because I feel like as a parent, then you bring in those skill sets from being a parent into the workplace, which just benefits everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that you said too that you weren't looking to enter a company and try to change the dynamic or the culture. Like that's actually really hard and it takes some
Yes.
time and, stakeholder support and it just happens over like years, right? So there, it's not super realistic to try to do that as one person. And so it just seemed like you were really level-headed going in and, as you were navigating your career, switching jobs and bringing in another child into your family, it was like, okay, I need to be mindful of who I'm building relationships with because I need to know that this is a safe, supportive space for working parents.
Right. Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would give to yourself then, like with either your first or second navigating early career, or even like women who are navigating things now, balancing pregnancy and also kind of professional responsibilities?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, if I were to like go back and give myself advice, it would definitely be like coming back off of leave, just like not trying to take on the biggest project, especially after kid number one. I'm like, your whole life is not ever the same, which I mean is great. And which is what I wanted. That's like I wanted to grow my family, have my little girl, but like your brain power just kind of like diminishes. So that was something of like, I remember
You're
the
not at
last.
100%.
Yeah, no, you're not at 100%. And just accepting that, I think, is just like, and as someone like I would say, I'm very like type A. Love things being organized. I love like, having a spot for everything and things being predictable. And having a kid is not predictable. So
Yeah.
I really wish I would have told myself, like, had more grace for myself coming back from work after my first kid and not just taking on the first big project that was offered or thrown my way. Just because it's like, since most of my work is very like, it's mostly knowledge work. It's like, okay, my brain needs to be functioning at a full capacity for me to do my best work. And it's probably not the best time to take on a big project when I'm trying to sleep train my kid, or you can't sleep train them until they're like 5, 6 months. So I'm not getting sleep in the middle of the night, and I'm trying to like tackle this big thing. I wish I would have had more grace for myself at that point coming back from work and just understanding that it's like that's okay. That's just like the cycle of life. Of there'll be a time where it's like I won't really feel like myself, and it's just giving me the opportunity to grow into the next version of myself. But being type A, I'm also very impatient. So I want the perfect end result right now. And it's like, no, I have to go through the messy stuff. So that's something that I wish like I would have known after having Izzy. Because I had a very tough time with like my brain not working at full capacity like I was used to. And being really on top of like the meetings and like being very detail oriented, it's like your brain just kind of just poof.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I would say with kid number two, it's just like you definitely have like a better idea of what to expect, so you know to lower your expectations. And I've really uh, almost embraced the chaos at this point, and I have to ruthlessly prioritize my life in and outside of work. I have to pick the things that I'm going to care about. And it's like, hey, this is what I'm going to 100% care about, and everything else like can fall to the wayside and things will be fine. Like the dishes don't need to be done or like every single day, or laundry can happen once a week or once every couple weeks. Like let's just buy some more socks. Who cares? So
Yeah.
that's something where the ruthless prioritization has really helped with my sanity and home life, but then taking it into work has been like an unexpected positive because I'm ruthlessly prioritizing like what's best for the company. So it's like I'm going into work of like, hey, what are the top two things that I have to do today so the company can move forward? Because a lot of the other stuff is just busy work. So it's like, what am I focusing on? Or what do I need to focus on that's really going to move the team forward? And so I think that incidentally has like helped my career because it's that I'm only focusing on the top priority things. If you have 15 priorities on your list, then nothing's a priority. So it's like the top one or two things, go in, knock it out, get out, and then on to the next project, whether at home or work.
Yes. It is so funny. I have heard that quite a few times from other working parents that just like, and especially moms, like after having kids, noticing how the ability to ruthlessly prioritize has expanded
Yeah.
their just just their awareness and perspective in the workplace too. And for you, noticing that stepping back, like there are phases where my brain's not going to be operating at 100 or
Yeah.
percent, right? Like, and because of this, I have to get more detail oriented on like small things that I can focus on that are, yeah, that are like, okay, number one, number two, like these are the top two priorities for the day, and I'm gonna knock those out. And it's okay if I don't get 15 things done on my list because, like, do the other things really matter that much anyway? Like you said, if
Nope.
everything's a priority, then nothing is. So,
Yep.
so cool. I really like that example that you gave, that it was like maybe like a bit of a humbling experience for you at first of just like, okay, I have to accept this, but also maybe this is good because it's teaching me something.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that definitely like every new parent has. And it gave me a lot of perspective on all the parents I've worked with before having a kid. And I'm like, dang, I wish I would have like, I mean, you can't know that experience until you go through it yourself fully. Yeah, it definitely gives me a lot of grace for a lot of other people. Or like I am a lot more like understanding because I'm like, I hope that people would give me that understanding as well.
Yeah, and also your experiences with your daughter and your son have been quite different too as they've grown up, right? Would you be open to sharing a little bit about how each child has been a little bit different and how you've learned different things through parenting?
Sure. Yeah, so my daughter Izzy, she's now 5. At 2, I guess about like a year old, we got her into early intervention. Like she was behind on like her language milestones. Just wasn't as social with other little kids. I mean, obviously we were obsessed with her, loved her, but we
Yeah.
we saw like we didn't really notice the differences until she was around other kids, and we're like, oh, there's something a little bit different there. And we did early intervention for about a year, and then at 2, we were suggested like, hey, like maybe you should go get her tested for autism. Or like, okay, sounds great. Heads up to anybody listening, it takes like 3 to 6 months to get off a wait list for testing. So if you're even thinking about it, put your name on a list. But so we waited about 3, 4 months for her to be tested, and I was 7, 8 months pregnant with Teddy, number 2, when we had the diagnosis that she was level 2 autistic. And there's 3 levels, 3 being the most severe or folks who need the most help. Level 1 is people who need some support, but maybe not as much like with life skills as somebody in the level 2 or 3 range. So that was something of, being extremely pregnant, getting this diagnosis. And in that span of a few months, like we had sold our home, we're moving into a new home, we had some family members pass away, like, and I was switching jobs. It was a lot. It was a pressure cooker for sure. But we really threw ourselves into like learning everything we could about like the autistic community, how to best like support our daughter. And so she's been doing different types of therapies over the past few years. We really try to like, what is the best for Izzy? Like, how can we best support her so it's like she can live a full life? She's delayed in like speaking, so it's like she's done tons of speech therapy, and it's just all the small goals that she hits, like we're just over the moon excited. And it's just been so fun. Like, I mean, the first time she ever verbalized "I love you" was when she was 4 years old, and it was at bedtime. And so it's like, okay, like those moments I almost like take for granted with Teddy a little bit. Like with Izzy, it's like it's been like it's just we know it takes her so much more effort to get the words out. And so
Yeah.
we're always so grateful. But I was grateful of like getting when she was diagnosed. I was working at a company at a startup where most everybody on the team had previously been in the education system, and they had been teachers themselves. And so when I shared that news with them, they had already had a ton of experience like working with like the special education community. And
Yeah.
so they were able to give me more information to be like, hey, like this is the kind of support you can get through the district or through the state, or like here's what I know about autism. And that was like extremely helpful. Like, and it just made me feel very supported as a parent and as a colleague. That, yeah, it can be an isolating experience, like, especially since it's like, it's your baby and you want to make sure, like, I don't want anybody to be like, I want my baby to be happy and healthy and like be just successful at anything she wants to do. And so that really like put my mind toward, like, I was already focused on my family, but in terms of like career wise, I'm like, okay, I need to have a career that is going to support, if my daughter is having a panic attack and I'm one of the only people who can help her, like I can run upstairs really quick and like be able to calm her nervous system. Or I really like, it's been interesting too, where we've moved into a community where there are actually a fair amount of children around who are autistic. And funny enough, we have like a few teachers in the neighborhoods that
Wow.
are also working special. I mean, like it's kind of like we couldn't have moved it to a better spot. Like we didn't know any of that when we moved here.
Hmm.
So I've really spent like all the extra time outside of work that I could be using to like do house chores, the things I don't want to do or grocery shopping. I really spend that time and energy building community for, like for myself, but also for my daughter and for our family.
Yeah.
And that's been like a huge support where it's like, hey, like I want to make sure that like her teachers know that we're there and we will continue any kind of like routine they've established at school. Or it's like Izzy loves to explore. She for whatever she lacks in like speech, she does not lack in physical capabilities. She is like a mountain goat. And so she she can climb anything. She has pulled over chairs to the fence line and climbed fences, like eight
Whoa.
foot fences, to go to the neighbors because she sees the kids playing outside. And but because we've put in the time and energy of like focusing on community, like everybody knows our family or knows who she is or knows how to communicate and work with her. And so that's something that I'm always happy to like talk about with people, like, hey, like this is how she interacts with other people, or this is like the best way to like to play with her. So I mean that's been another added layer of like, working from home. And like, even though Ryan is on deck with like all the house stuff, like his main focus is the kids. And so he's like, he's not going to do the dishes or do the laundry if Izzy and Teddy need his support or need his help. So with that, it's like me building the community like outside of work allows us to like build deeper like relationships with our neighbors and with friends. We have a gal who goes to BYU and she comes every couple weeks and she picks up and cleans and like puts away the kids' clothes. Or like we have
Oh,
neighbors where it's
yeah.
like the high school guy, he mows the lawn, and like the kids will run around after him and like have their fake lawnmower out behind him. And so it's like we're so it's super fun to like build those types of relationships. But like I've really focused, me and Ryan have both really focused on like learning how to best support her, make sure she gets the support she needs, like outside of us, like within school, speech, OT, ABA. But then also, yeah, just really, I enjoy it too, like building the community and having friendships and like knowing the people who live around us and like being able to be there for them. And then in turn, like they're fantastic and are there for us.
I just want to thank you for taking time to open up about that too. And like you said, something like this could be an isolating experience for a parent or parents who haven't gone through it before. But what I keep hearing you say, and that's resonating, is community, community, community. Like that's coming up, as well as in conjunction with being intentional and aware of what your children need and building relationships to support them. I'm just hearing that you are like your emotional intelligence has really expanded probably over the years as you've had this experience with your daughter and bringing in your son into the family as well and navigating what this looks like for your family.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's like, yeah, I think I'd mentioned it earlier, like the parenting skills that you bring into the workplace, like the emotional intelligence has been a huge one. Understanding, like, because my daughter can't fully like communicate her wants and needs, it's like, okay, when she's angry, it's like that's usually an emotion that's like masking frustration or like she's embarrassed. And I mean, it's funny how often I've seen that in the workplace where it's just like, oh, somebody's really angry, but it's really because like, oh, they're kind of embarrassed. Maybe they like didn't finish the report on time and they feel bad about it. Or like maybe they said something weird to a coworker and they're embarrassed or whatever it is. And so I've been able to bring that knowledge to work and be able to meet people where they're at of like, okay, hey, it's okay. Like life happens. Like we quite literally do not work in the emergency room. It's fine. Like nothing is that much of an emergency. So yeah, I would say that's been like my huge perspective shift, like from having my kids being in the workplace. And at the end of the day, I know this is at the end of the day, it's like your family's always going to be there. Like you can always like switch jobs, you can always like upskill, you can start your own business. But it's like wrapping up my entire identity in work is like not an option for me anymore, nor do I want it to be. Like I need to have my identity outside of work and I need to have my identity outside of family too. It's like both need to coexist. And that's okay. And like, and it's fun too, because it's like I was in New York for an offsite a couple weeks ago. So it's like I got to go be in New York and work with all my colleagues. And then it's like I came home and immediately was, being rushed outside to push people on the swing, or like, we're blowing up the water slide in the backyard. And like being able to have both sides and have both be like equally fulfilling is important.
Yeah. And just going back to what you said kind of in the beginning of sharing about this experience, how you found out her diagnosis when you were, I think you said 7, 8 months pregnant with Teddy. And so like, and a number of other things were happening in your life too. Like what a pressure cooker situation. But that like, just, I guess that's like the epitome of kind of what life is and how
Yeah.
life trajectory goes. It's kind of like things are
Yep.
going well, things are good, things are good. Whoa, this is a huge mountain I did not expect to see. And
Yep.
it's often comes at like the most inconvenient times, and then you're tested through that and realize what you can actually go through and your capability to kind of push through. But I also wanted to mention, I think I saw a story you shared the other day where it was like Izzy and Teddy were out in like your backyard and they were like pushing the
Yes.
swings together, and you were like, they're communicating, she's helping him. This is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, if a year ago we wouldn't have even expected this. So just like, yeah, just a testament to all of the effort and work that you're putting in to support your family. So, so cool.
Thanks. No,
Yeah.
I mean, and um, I love being able to share that with people. Like, first off, it like kind of gives them like a peek into like what our life is like. Like, I've even posted videos of Izzy like wearing her headphones, like if we're at like a church event or something, and people will message and be like, "Hey, like what are the headphones for?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's actually just to like kind of dampen the sound because since she's on the spectrum, like she takes in so much information, it's just overwhelming." And so, this way, it's like she can participate in a way that like is more comfortable for her. And then when she's ready, she can take off the headphones. So I love like people, they'll see that. And then if we're out and about and or if we go to another like, church or community event and she's not wearing the headphones, then they'll comment and be like, "Oh my gosh, she's doing so great. She's not wearing her headphones. Like she's doing fantastic." Or she's playing with this other kid, or she's initiating like the playtime, or she's trying to communicate. Like I feel like that's another piece of like, it is hard to like a little bit be vulnerable and like share that. But at the same time, I love being able to like give that support to other people, receive that support. But yeah, with Izzy, it's like we're just so like insanely proud of her and like all the progress she's done and like our goals. Like we really just want her to be, successful and happy. And like unfortunately, like we operate in a world that like is not always going to be like as accommodating to her. But it's like we want her to have a voice, like to know where it's like we want her to be able to advocate for herself. And until she has the words to communicate that, like we're advocating for her
Hmm.
and we're trying to educate the people around us. So it's like that way, we can all be in this together. Very High School Musical.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely like that experience has definitely influenced like it's interwoven in our day-to-day routines into my work routine. And I would say like one of my favorite parts of like something we've like woven into our routine, like specifically with Izzy, is that like I take a lunch break, like right before she hops on the bus for school. And it's like I pick out her outfit, or me and her pick out her outfit together. And like I'll sit and brush her hair. And she gets to pick out like what headband she wants to wear and stuff. And like part of it is because poor Ryan only knows how to do like a twist up hair clip situation. But the other part of it too is that it's like I want to have that. I'm like super grateful to have that like moment of connection with her in the family during the day where it's like I pick out her outfit, do her hair, and then we all go sit out on the front porch and wait for the bus to come and I can sit by and she goes and we joke that like she has a full-time job and then I have a full-time job. So then she'll come home and it's a good blend of work and life and I'm just really grateful to like find companies that will support that.
Yeah. Yeah. And consistently throughout our conversation, I know you've mentioned a lot about like work-life balance, boundaries, support from the workplace. I'm also curious as far as like your perspective on career success or defining that, like what would make you happy in your career. Has becoming a mother and your experiences with your family changed that? And what's your picture of success now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's funny because I would say like pre-kids, it was like, oh, I want to be like, a chief of operations person or like a COO or like I want to have the big title. Which like just a big title for a title's sake. But I think now the way that's changed is like, hey, I want a bigger title, but only because of like the flexibility, the freedom, the creativity it allows me. And also, I mean, everybody's working to earn money. So it's like, hey, I want to make sure that like, we can pay for all the therapies that Izzy will need. Or it's like, we can live in a comfortable neighborhood where it's like she's supported and loved and taken care of when we're not with her. So it's like that in terms of career success, I'm like, I very much like will shoot for like I also too like I love to continuously grow and learn whenever I come into a new startup. If I have the opportunity to work with somebody who has 10, 15 years of work experience on me, my first thing I'll say to them is I want to learn everything you know. I want to be a sponge. Like please share everything, like all your experiences, like why you made this decision over this one and like I love to absorb other people's experiences and learning. So it's like I can continuously learn and grow. And I think being in startups, you're always forced to to grow and to learn. And I love that aspect of it. And I think that's definitely like helped with with the success in my jobs is that I can come in, I'll learn about a specific area of the business that needs help, and I will take that from 0 to 1. Like if it's from scratch, then it's like, hey, I'll build the first version and I will maintain it until we're big enough that we can hire somebody full time for this. So I think being scrappy in that way has really helped with my career trajectory, and it gives me a little bit of flexibility of like being able to choose like what kind of companies I go to. So I'd say success now is, I mean, luckily, like kind of what I'm living where it's like I've grown enough in title to where it's like, like there's still room to grow, but I still have that flexibility to like be with family. And I have the opportunity to like learn from the founders of the business, which at my current company, both of them have built and sold a couple different companies. So it's like I've been able to learn a ton from them. And luckily too, they're both, one of them has 2 kids that are about the same age as my kids. One is a soon to be father. So it's like they are
Oh,
very much in that parent boat. And so it's like I can connect with them on that as well. Yeah, that's, the flexibility and the ability to be there for my family and like have that fulfillment in addition to work is like my definition of success now.
yeah. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And also just hearing you say, that like ambition isn't off the table, right? Because you're a mother. It's like you can still pursue worthy goals, but you're mindful of what those goals and attainment will bring into your personal life too, and how it can strengthen that as well. It's not just like, oh, I'm climbing the ladder because I'm climbing the ladder and competing with other people and I just want to be
Yeah,
the best. It's like, this is going to bring in more money for my family so that I can support my daughter's therapy and we can, bring in help, like you mentioned, like bring in someone to mow the lawn or clean the house.
yeah.
And it's also an opportunity for you to learn and grow. So it's like for different reasons, that's why you want to keep moving forward, which is really cool. And has it shifted your approach to leadership as well?
Yes, I feel like I think pre-kids I definitely was like I still was a mindful leader. I mean, becoming a parent definitely like increases that tenfold where it's like you truly do not know like what's going on in people's home lives. So like having an understanding around that and then really focusing on like it's that servant leadership. It's as opposed to being like, hey, I'm your boss, you need to do what I'm asking you to do. It's more of a hey, let's a collaborative environment. Let's work on this together. Or what can I do to help support you? Like what kind of like education do you need? What can I train you on? Like here's the base level of like what you like here's some of the trainings. What are you stuck on? Like let's work on it. And that's something like I've built a couple of support teams at my last couple of companies. And so I've had the opportunity to interview and hire a bunch of like support agents and like uh, a majority of them being like young mothers or young women, which has been like super fun
That's great.
because I'm like you can answer support emails with a baby on your hip. Like you're not on a phone call. It's fine. Like you can multitask in that way. And but it's just really being supportive of your team as opposed to being and like giving them like the guidance and the leadership and the vision of being like, hey, this is the direction we're going. I know that this is your strength. Can you tackle that? I know this is your strength. Can you tackle that? So it's like really getting to know your team and deploying them in a way that like they're going to be successful. So and that's something of like between parenting and team building and leadership. It's like, I'm not going to put Izzy in a spot where she's unsuccessful. Like, she is not going to do okay at a fine dining restaurant with like a bunch of knives and glassware. And like loud noises. Like, she will not be successful there. So, like, I'm not going to put her there. Like, that's not fair to her or me. Like, and in the workplace, it's like, hey, like, I know this person can stretch a little bit this way, but like, I'm not going to put them in something in charge of something that's totally out of left field for them because then they're not going to feel great about themselves. So, um, I think it's definitely like really getting to know people and getting to know their strengths and like where you can kind of push and pull and help them grow is something that like I really enjoy doing and like advocating for my team or my colleagues.
For sure. Awesome. I have really enjoyed this conversation and just feel like your story is so cool and appreciate you sharing and being open with us. I do have a couple closing questions here. So,
Sure.
one being, what gives you hope for working parents moving forward? I know you've talked about supportive work environments and also remote work being a great benefit, but what gives you hope as you move forward?
Yeah, I think what gives me hope is like seeing how many of my male coworkers are so involved with their families. Like I don't think I even saw that like when I first was in the workplace, like about 10 years ago, but it's like definitely over the past like 5 years, I've seen an increase in my male colleagues like talking, being open about being like, hey, I'm going to this PTA meeting, or hey, I'm like taking my kid to the ice skating rink, like they have a summer camp coming up, like, or we're having like a small baby like in a wrap, like while they're, teaching a class. I think I mean, shows that it's like, there's a lot more women getting who are stay-at-home parents getting more support from their husbands. But I think for working moms, it really shows like that whole parenting out loud thing of being like, yeah, like I'm not just Bri the operations worker like 24/7. It's like I have this whole life outside of that. And it's okay for it sometimes to cross over. But I think for like the guys that I work with, for them to be doing that, it gives more permission for like the women I work with to be more open about it, because I think unfortunately it's been very much this way for a long time where it's, hey, like if you're a working mom, like don't talk about your kids too much, or don't talk about like how hard it is to find daycare or babysitter. Nobody wants to hear that at work. I feel like now hearing my male coworkers talk about it, it's just really refreshing. And I think that gives us hope where it's like, I forget the statistic. Maybe I'll have to look it up afterwards and correct me. But there's been like a drastic increase of like if you had asked dads in the 80s like what percentage of them had changed a diaper, I think it was like 15 or 20%. And now if you ask dads, it's like 80%. So it's like even
Yeah.
just in that span of time, the involvement of like fathers changing diapers, which is like the most basic thing with like a kid or a baby. I think that kind of stuff gives me hope. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're all like, it's not just a mom's job, it's a family's job, it's a community's job to like help raise these kids.
Yeah, 100%. We need everyone to be part of the conversation. And when dads are more involved and it's like more visible, then that only makes it better for moms too. Um, yeah, and in closing, the last question I have for you is, there anything else that you would like to leave, a working mother listening to this episode and hearing your story?
Yeah, I mean, I I'd say the top thing is just giving yourself grace of like you're not gonna be able to do everything, and that's okay. Nobody was meant to do all the things. So if you're a working parent or you're a working mom, like just understanding like, hey, these things aren't gonna get done. If I'm able to, I'm gonna outsource it, or just be okay with it not being done. It's a season of life. Like it's kind of when you have a tiny baby, you think like, oh my gosh, are they never going to sleep through the night? And then it's like you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot the last time that they woke up in the middle of the night. Like now they're sleeping through the night. It's like there's all these like phases, like whatever you're stressed about, like in terms of like child development, it's like for the most part, like they'll kind of grow out of it and they'll grow into something different. So just giving yourself that, like I find myself where it's like I'll give other people a lot of understanding and grace, but I have a hard time giving it to myself. And so being cognizant of being like, hey, it's okay that I don't do all the things. It's okay that I can just sit on the couch and breathe. Like not every like unscheduled minute has to be productive. Like it's okay to just sit and exist.
Yes, so relevant. That productivity, that word came to mind as you were speaking. I was like, wonder if she's gonna say it, and then you did. It was like every moment has to be productive. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. And that's like I've like painstakingly had to learn that too. But
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you so much, Bree. I've really enjoyed the
Yeah.
conversation and just really appreciate having you on today.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to listen to all the other episodes with all the other moms. It'll be fun. A fun little community if you wanted to hear that word one more time. So
Yes, community. I love that word too. That's a wrap on today's episode of Birth at Work. If our topic resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Connect with me on social or via email. Your experiences and questions help shape future episodes. Remember, you're not alone in this journey of balancing career and family. Every challenge you're facing, someone else has navigated too, and every victory you celebrate, big or small, deserves to be recognized. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps other working parents find these conversations when they need them the most. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing these stories, please share this episode with them. Until next time, remember, you don't have to choose between your career dreams and your family dreams. You're already proving that every day. Thanks for listening to Birth at Work. I'm Chrislyn Powell, and I'll see you next time.